going to preface this video by saying, please keep an open mind. I already have a feeling I'm going to be hearing about it in the comments. But, hello, my name is Bob, and this is going to be a book review of Ursula K. Le Guin's A Wizard of Earthsea. I recently lucked upon the initial trilogy, the Earthsea trilogy by Le Guin, and decided, since I've heard great things in this booktube community about Le Guin, as well as from y'all in the comments, the thrift gods were kind to me by having me stumble upon all three of these, that I should go ahead and start the series. I have never read Le Guin before this book, but I hear good things about it. Just like I do with all my book reviews, a little background about Le Guin is that she was born in 1929 and died pretty recently in 2018. She's been an active writer, publishing about 20 novels and then hundreds of short stories, as well as critiques and like articles and literary criticisms, that kind of stuff. She was active as a writer from 1959, when she first got published, up until her passing. And this original book was initially published in 1968, and it reads that way. So I'm gonna get into more of that in just a little bit. This actual copy is a reprint from 1983. I got it because the cover's cool with the dragon here, and then if you look at the back, you see Ged, who is our main protagonist and the wizard with whom the stories are written about, traveling in a boat. Le Guin is best known for and regarded in literature with this Earthsea trilogy, and also as a sci-fi writer. Her Hainish universe, lots of accolades. I would like to say that preteen Bob, so if I had gotten to read this in middle school, I would have loved this book. Or even in elementary school, I would have loved this book, because to be honest, this feels very much like Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis in how it's written. Not necessarily how it's written. I guess the ease of writing, or the ease of reading this book, feels like my mentality would have enjoyed this story more if I was still had some childlike wonder in my in my brain. But adult Bob, however, couldn't get over the fact that a woman wrote this book with the underlying internalized misogyny that was apparent in it. And again, like I said, I know that this is going to get unpleasant in the comments, because I know how many people really like Le Guin. And I'm going to say this because the story follows Ged, which we talked about here on the back of the book, as a young lad being a goat herder, right? Like all kids on Gaunt are, which Gaunt is the island which he grows up on. Until he hears his aunt speak some words to some animals, and the animals all come running to her. So he repeats this process later on, and then all the animals come to him, and the aunt sees this and is like, oh, well, let me take young lad under my wing and teach him my witchy ways, because apparently his aunt was a witch, the witch of the village. And that is a theme for female magic users throughout the rest of the book. Women that practice magic in this world are witches, but it's not a positive witch. It's not like, you know, in Harry Potter where you have witches and warlocks and they're all the same. They're all wizard. They're all wizard. They're all wizard, Harry. They're all kind of like equal. Anytime a female character that uses magic is introduced, it's always they're using their magic as a self-service or a devious way. And none of them get to go to wizard school at all. Like, the point of this, the majority of this book, or the majority of the beginning of the book, is Ged discovering that he has powers, his aunt taking him under her wing, teaching him what she knows, and then she's like, oh, well, something happens, and you're too smart for me, and it gets the attention of a better, higher wizard on the island, and he takes him under the wing until he again It's like, well, you got too much magic in you, so you can stay in me and learn real slow, or you can go to wizard school. And so he goes off to wizard school. But again, no women get to go to wizard school. And whenever a female magic user is in this book, it's just like, it's not positive. It's not like they don't become like the wizard of their town. They don't become like this grand thing. They don't get a staff. They're not held in the same regard. Like if your village has a witch, it's because you have a little podunk village, and somebody just some lady just happens to know some like heal all and some like love potions and that kind of crap. They're not grand wizards. That bothered me as an adult. I probably as a child would have completely overlooked that, but as an adult I cannot. And like I said, I had to remind myself that a woman wrote this, also knowing that this woman, when she wrote this, was 30. Well, actually she was all approaching 40 in the 60s. So I mean, it's probably just definitely a par for the course for the time. However, what was nice that I did appreciate and enjoy is that most everyone that is described in this book is brown-skinned, which is nice. So that's a nice change, especially since the author is not brown-skinned. But the Ged's greatest friend, Vetch, in this book is a dark-skinned man who he has great regard for, and is just a clever, intelligent friend. And I that was really nice. It was nice that was there, and it made it a little bit more enjoyable for me reading this book. Preteen Bob would have also really enjoyed this book, because I probably wouldn't have figured out the premise, or I should say the crux of the story, halfway through the book. Which, when these shorter books, so like a lot of the sci-fi and fantasy books I read that, you know, are under 200 pages, have fall into the same problem where, or some of them fall into this problem or are a victim to the issue where they have to spend so much of the story like building the character that when you get to the conflict in the book, you like do the crescendo to the conflict and then it just stops. It's just like the last chapter is just the end, and it's just like, okay, that happened. I was expecting that to happen a while ago because I already figured out what's going on, but okay, neat. And then like the epilogue is just, hey, there's gonna be more books. It's just basically an ending where it explains that, okay, there's gonna be more books. It was just, and I feel like I'm gonna get flamed in the comments just because of the fact that I'm not being negative about this book, all right? I would definitely give this book to like a middle schooler to read, or like early high school. Definitely recommend that. An adult, I could see like how people would find this book and like feel warm and fuzzy to it, especially if you read this book when it first came out, during the height of fantasy, you know, when Tolkien was writing The Lord of the Rings, or, you know, when C.S. Lewis's novels first came out. When you're at the height of fantasy, I'm sure this fit in perfectly. The prose is written very much like, come ye children around the hearth while I tell a tale of magic and dragons. Like that's very much how this feels like when you're reading it. But I like a little bit more meat in my book. I'm going to continue reading the rest of it because I did get attached enough to Ged and to Vetch in this story that I would like to learn more about it. I do know that when people were recommending Guin to me, said that she has a very simple writing style. I can see that now. But I did enjoy it, and like I said, younger me would have very much enjoyed this, but it's such a simplistic writing style that adult me figured out what was going on, and it was just kind of like, are we ever going to get to the point? Nope, we're just going to keep beating around the bush. Cool. Alright, cool. But I've got the other two books. I will read them. Maybe they will be even better. I do know that Tahan, I'm gonna put the name here, Tahan in this series won the Nebula Award, so maybe in 1990 she changed her writing style some. And again, I haven't read any of her sci-fi books, so I don't know if this is something that it's going to be consistent in her writing, or if it just is a tale of Earthsea. So my review is, it's a great book for a middle schooler, high schooler. I mean, depending on what kind of fantasy you like, if you liked C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia, you probably would like this. I just want a little bit more depth for me personally. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Bye. That since the Earth Gods were the Thrift Gods, preschool, not preschool. Man, if I was reading this in preschool, I would be advanced indeed. No,